Hey there. Okay, this is the world's quickest crash course just to show you how to use Adobe InDesign. Maybe somebody asked you in school or at work to design a magazine, a book, a multi-page document. This is the program you want to do that in. You do not want to use Photoshop or GIMP or Illustrator or an imaging program. Adobe InDesign is a layout program. So I'm going to show you how to get set up. You're going to set up your files. I'll show you the very basics of working in InDesign, how to add your images and text, how to adjust your layouts and all the most important features that you want to use to get started right away. And then I will show you how to save and finally how to prepare everything to send either to the printer or your professor or whoever the final person is that's going to be getting this. So I've already gone into InDesign. InDesign I have as part of my Adobe Creative Cloud subscription. However, you can also get Adobe InDesign for free for a 7-day free trial from adobe.com. All right, so I basically went in and opened InDesign, and before I do anything else, I'm going to set up a new file. This is the screen that should greet you when you go to set up a new file after you've opened InDesign. And if you're in the United States, chances are, let's just pretend for a moment that we're making a magazine or something, a traditional vertical magazine format. In the US, you are going to use letter size. Outside the US, so I'm going to click on more presets and I'm going to choose this A4 one. This is like letter size. It's basically what comes out of a photocopier in Europe where I am now. And we're going to select A4. And then I'm going to pay attention to all my little presets here. I recommend you use either inches or centimeters, depending what part of the world you're from. I recommend that you make this vertical unless you've been given specifications from the printer or your boss that it's going to be horizontal. Most magazines are vertical. I am going to select facing pages, and I'm actually doing a project with my students in the American University of Rome, where they're going to have 5 pages for their final project, 1 ad and a 4-page article. You can actually set that up here, or you can do that once you go in. So it's up to you. This is not really so important. And everything that you set up in here can also be changed later. I'm going to give you the same presets that I gave them. So 2 columns just as a start. They can always change it back to 1 column or 3, however they want to set up their articles. And these are just guidelines. They're not going to actually make anything on your pages. It's for you to actually lay stuff out. Okay, I'm going to keep the margins as they are. And then it is a good idea to set your bleeds. It sounds very violent. A bleed is basically an overlapping over the page, so that if you have a photo that you want to print all the way to the edge, it's going to go all the way to the edge. And instead of if you line it up where you think the edges, you'll actually get a white line. So we're going to overlay, and I recommend doing, it's 0.3 centimeters. And if I click off of that, it will have set these up for me. I don't know what that is in inches, to be honest. So let me just double check for my North American friends. Okay, 0.5 inches. Okay, I didn't change anything. It's just showing me in inches instead of centimeters. And that's it. I'm going to go with all of these other presets and we are ready to create our project. Now we are in InDesign and you see that my page 1 is set up with A4 paper. I have margins. This little red area is where the bleeds are going to go. So all my images should go to that line and have plenty, nothing too important should be in that safety area. And then it's basically set me up to do columns. All of your tools are over here on the left, just like other Adobe programs. Your canvas area, work area is over here. You've got a properties window, which whatever you click on is going to give you options. So if you're working on text and you click on properties, then that will change. And then I highly recommend you have your pages open as well, because there's not much to see here, but as I click on pages 2 and 3, let me just make this a little smaller. You can see that I have two facing pages. So basically that first page is going to be my cover. If I'm doing a magazine, then 2 and 3 are inside, 4 and 5. And then if this were a self-contained booklet, then I may actually bring in another one here just for the end. So I could, oops, delete page 7, and then I actually have a full self-contained booklet that has a first cover, an inside, and then a back cover. My students actually just have to do one 4-page article and an ad, and it's going to become part of a larger magazine, so they don't need to actually do this. So I'm going to get rid of that. One thing you should know just before we go in is that you have a way, you saw me drag in that page, right? You may have noticed that all of my pages have this little A on it. It's not the scarlet letter, but rather it goes with these master pages. So master pages, if I were to click on them, it doesn't look like anything has changed, right? But over here, these are my master pages. These are used for when you're trying to do page numbering or you have some element that you want to have on multiple pages. So for example, if I drew a colored square or something here, let me just give it like a color so you can see. Okay, so that's in my master pages. But look, you can already see over here what I did here in my master pages. So I'm going to click back to page 1. Okay, my page 1 is a right page, not a left page, so you don't see that anything has happened, right? Even though it's connected to a master page. But then page 2 and page 4 have those elements of my master page. Okay, anyway, that's just a brief rundown. And you can, mainly I use master pages for things like page numbering, or magazines sometimes have like a little bottom footer with the name of the magazine on every page, something like that. In all other cases, I would recommend not using master pages. And for my students, they don't need to use master pages because they're going to be making a project that goes into a larger magazine. So one thing I can do to get rid of these master pages is I can drag none on top, and that basically makes all of these pages just blank pages, not connected to anything. If I ever change my mind later, I can, of course, drag these master pages and then do the same thing. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. So now let's get started. So I am ready to go, and very briefly I'm just going to share with you. So if I want to bring in an image, let's say I have a beautiful image that I want to cover the top part of page 2 here. It comes in like this, and then under properties, I can either convert this into a shape and fill it with color, or I can import a file. Now, I want to show you, these are images that I've already set up in a folder. Now, why is this important? In other programs, you can just go anywhere on your computer and bring images in. But in InDesign, it wants to know where the stuff is because you're not actually importing anything, you're pointing to it. So I have made a new folder. I don't remember where I made it. Let's see. Okay. So in my documents folder, I made a self-contained folder called Kristen Final Project. You can call it, InDesign sample project. You go in here, and in here, this is where you're going to save your InDesign files, and you want to have another folder in here where all your images are going to go. So you might want to just pause for a moment and just go get any images that you want to use in this project and put them in your images folder now. This will save you a lot of time later and heartache and stress when InDesign is asking you where your images are. So I did that already. I went in here and I just grabbed a couple of images from my computer, and that's it. So there you go. So now if I go back here, these are my selection tools over here. If I select this image, hang on. If I select this image, then I can import a file. So I'm going to grab an image in my images folder in the place I just told you and hit open, and now it comes in. Now these images should all be high quality, saved for printing, assuming that you're going to be printing things out. So they should be 300 resolution and saved with CMYK mode for printing out high quality images. But this particular one, I think I just grabbed off the internet just as an example. So this would probably not print out so well, but just for the sake of showing you, please note that when you bring an image into your image box, you have all these different ways that you can fit it in. So there's fit frame proportionally, fit the content. You can do an auto fit if you want. So there's all these different options that I'll let you play around with. I don't think this is a great image, so if I want, I can just change it. And I have some other ones over here, which are a little bit better. Okay, so fat squirrel it is. One thing you can do in InDesign is if I double click on this, I can see that there's actually more of this image than is fitting in my box. So you can move that around, and you can also use the auto fit and some of these features here as well. All right, so we have our image, and you see that it's covering the entire top of my page here. Now I'm just going to get into image boxes and text boxes. So this text box here I might use for my headline for my article. I'm going to just type in here, why are the animals so fat? I don't know how politically correct that is, but that's just what popped in my head at this moment. So I am going to give it a size and make sure that I don't have any weird hyphens or anything. So I just did a shift return, and this is going to be the headline of my magazine. Okay, so why are the animals so fat? And then I'm going to just zoom out a little bit so we can see a bit better. So I have all of my guidelines here, and I could theoretically start my article over here. So again, I'm going to just create a text box, and this time this is going to be for my body text. Okay, and I would need some text to use, right? So I am going to grab some text. I'm just going to grab something from the encyclopedia just so I have some text to pop in. Okay, so I was able to pop that in. And again, this is me just showing you very quickly. One issue, of course, is that clearly there was probably more text than actually fit in there. So one thing you should always be aware of as you're popping the text in is if you put too much text in, it's gonna go beyond your box there. So you want to just check on that. I have the start of my article here. Again, this is kind of like a nonsense article, but you just see how it's set up. One thing I could do is I could copy this box and paste it. So Command C and Command V, or edit copy and edit paste. And assuming I have different text here, this is the start of my article. I'm just going to zoom out so you can see it. Okay. I do recommend not just winging it like I'm doing in this quick demo, but having a magazine or something in front of you, just so you can get a sense for how these magazines deal with large areas of text. And now I can, again, just use these rectangular tools to draw in places where maybe I have more images. So I have another image here. I can import my file. I can just grab something from over here. It comes in like that. And then using my text box, let's see if I can go in a little bit closer. Using my text box, I can continue this article, and I basically can design it however I want so that it fits. So I just going to borrow this text just as placeholder text. Make sure though that whatever text you have in here, that you kind of split it up a little bit. So you have different things. The other thing you'll find in magazines is they'll have little subheads as well. So squirrel and dogs. Okay, so that might actually be bold. And you can, obviously, you can highlight all of your text and make all of your changes over here. But that is now bolded, and that was probably going to be bigger than the rest of my text. And that's just going to make my article easier to read. I think just because I have the ability, I could maybe just end my article, or if I was ending my article, I might put a shape in there. So I've only used so far the selection tool, the rectangle frame tool for bringing in images, the text tool for bringing in type, and the rectangle tool for bringing in a colored box, which I can, now that it's selected over here where it says fill and there's no fill, I can just give it a color. And I can decide which color I want to have. I'm going to click on color, and maybe I want to have like some green color, and I can make all these adjustments to get it just as I want it. And that's it. So I just made the world's quickest article, nonsense article, but you get the idea. And if I want to see how this looks, go under screen mode, and we can just say preview, and then that will show you what your magazine is going to look like. There's this little hand tool if you need to just kind of grab things around just to look at it. So this is the start of my article, and this kind of gives you at least a little bit of a preview of what it would look like when we print it out. And if you wanted this green, by the way, if you wanted this green rectangle to print all the way to the edge, you just need to extend it over the edge so that it will do that. Okay? All right. So we're making good progress here. If you look over here, you see that in my pages area, now if I click on page 4, there's nothing there. Page 1, there's nothing there. Page 5, there's nothing there. But if ever you want to change your columns, so that first page had no columns, and that would be a good place for my university students if they're doing their ads without columns and being part of an article. They might want to do that there. One little neat trick that I showed them is that if they wanted to design their entire ad in Photoshop or Illustrator, which they probably feel more comfortable with, they can do that in there, and then they can take this rectangular image, frame image, and actually import the file of that ad and just pop it right in like there, and then they wouldn't have to use the other tools for that one page. For the articles though, I do recommend using the tools in InDesign just to lay things out the way that you want them to go. So if I had a magazine cover to put in here, I could go under import file. Again, I'm just working with these images that I have. I'm going to put the fat squirrel. Okay, that comes in as an image, and I'm actually going to go under view, screen mode, normal, just to make sure. Okay, so actually the screen mode does show me those columns there. So in a very short amount of time, we set up everything. We've got our pages, we've got facing pages, and we've got our beginning of our article, and we know how to use text and images and shapes. Those are the basic building blocks of creating an InDesign file. Obviously, it's not that simple. There's a million little settings and tools and things that you can experiment with, but these are the things that you need to be up and running right away. So the only other major thing that you need to know, so let's pretend that you've designed everything, you're happy with it. I don't recommend waiting until the end to save it. So I'm going to do File, and I do recommend do Save As, so you can give it a different name, because I actually have an earlier version from a class from yesterday. So I'm going to call this O2 Final Project. Okay, and that's going to save here in my folder, Save. Why did I just not keep the same name? Because if I make other changes, like for example, let's say I go to page 4 here, and I add a bunch of stuff, and make, some different changes or whatever. So any little changes that you make, I highly recommend. So this, okay, so anyway, I've just added a couple of things in here, but that's a change that I've made. So instead of just hitting save, I recommend do File, Save As, and instead of O2 Final Project or O2 Magazine Design, we're going to do O3. I'm going to just give it different numbers every time I make a change, because sometimes you will make a mistake. I know, hard to believe, right? In InDesign, where the text gets cut off or you made a change or whatever, you don't want to have to start all the way at the beginning. You can go back to your last saved version and have rescued your progress. Sometimes also, in rare circumstances, your file may get corrupt, in which case, again, you don't want to just have one file that you're working on. It's better to have multiple files and just save every now and then and give a different number when you do File, Save As. All right, so that's pretty much it. The only other thing that I wanted to show you is, let's pretend again that we are ready to send this off to the professor or the printer. There's one other thing that you need to do. Now, I did not spend a lot of time on fonts or all the different options that you have here, but in general, please do not use more than one or two fonts. If you use more than one font, make sure that the fonts you choose are different from each other. I recommend for body text just standard, simple fonts, nothing too crazy. You want to make sure that we can read it, right? So that's very important. So if we have decided that we're happy with everything, then the next thing that you can do is you can go under File. You can go under File, and then if you go under Package, it's going to set up everything for you to give to your professor and your printer. So what it's going to do, it's going to make a folder of fonts for you. It's going to make a folder of images for you. It's going to do a little report, etc., etc. So you can also decide if you want to create printing instructions. Basically, all you need in that final folder is your InDesign document, one folder with all the images that you used in your project, one folder with all the fonts that you used in your project, just in case your printer doesn't have them, because you don't want substitute fonts to show up once this file goes off the computer, and then a PDF file, which is a printable PDF that even the printer could just print from that. But we're doing things the old school professional way, just in case, they needed to go back into the InDesign file and change anything. So that's it. So I'm going to say package, and it's going to ask me what I want to have. So if you wanted to, you could even put a whole new folder together. Package, create, and maybe, let's see, I'll just put it here for now, and that's pretty much it. So you can decide what's going to go in here. For your PDF file that it's going to make for you, I do recommend go with that high quality print, and that's it. Package, and now it's going to do all the stuff. And now let me show you, it's done. Wow. Okay, so let's have a look at what we have. I need to go into my Finder window here. Documents, here's my Kristen final project. This is the folder that it just put together for me. Let's see what's inside. Double click. All right, I'll put like a folder inside a folder, even better. Okay, so this is the folder that we're going to give our professor or the printer. You may want to copy and paste it or upload it to your Google Drive or wherever, but inside you will see that you have the PDF of the actual document, you have your InDesign folder, InDesign file, there's another InDesign file here that's just for the printer, and then all of your fonts are in here. So we used Minion Pro, so that's in there, and then where it says links, it just copied those images in there for you. So yay, now you have everything. So this is the folder that you're going to give to your professor or to your printer, and that will be everything that they need. I do recommend you just kind of preview your PDF, make sure it actually made what you thought it was going to make. So let me just see if I can make this a bit smaller. All right, so this is page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4, page 5. Now, okay, so when you're exporting, you also have an option when you make that PDF to have it display just as you want it. The printer will be able to fix, whatever PDF you gave, they'll be able to see what you're trying to do. But if you wanted to make some changes, you can hit export, and then you can choose Adobe PDF print, and it's going to give you some different options that you can customize. So that is the rundown on how to set up your pages in InDesign, how to create, make and save and publish a project. I know there's a lot more to it, but these are the most important things that you need to know. So these are the most important things you need to know. You should be well on your way. Obviously, it takes practice and you need to kind of just like jump in there and start doing it, but this should have you off to a really good start. If you have any questions, ask your friendly neighborhood professor, or go to Adobe and you can research any particular tool or method or technique that you need in InDesign. All right, happy designing, and I will see you next time. Take care. Bye.